What's going on, guys? This your boy John the Liquidator coming back with another video. So it looked like Todd Monken has hired 2 new coaches for the offensive side of the ball to get ready for the 2026 season. Guys, for this one here, we got to go all the way up to Cleveland. Let's get it. Let's go. Now, just like we've been telling y'all all week long, the Cleveland Browns coaching staff is about to be elite. There's no way Todd Monken had to wait this long, and he's finna go out there and lay a goose egg.
I was excited
I'm here to
see some excitement out of Todd Monken, but it's funny, like, I don't look at any of these quarterbacks and think to myself, well, he needs to do this, or that. Whatever the quarterback room looks like come September, I just actually have some more faith that I think he's going to get the most out of whatever you have there, because it just doesn't feel like whatever preset opinions there were with Kevin or biases, I don't feel like they are there. Like, I think Todd Monken seems like a guy who spent his entire career not getting the benefit of the doubt, not getting a chance to prove what he can do. So I imagine he looks at whether it's Deshaun with 4 lost seasons now in Cleveland, or Shedeur and the way the media covered him, Dylan Gabriel and just how he loves to throw to the line of scrimmage, but that might have been a Stefanski thing. Like, I can imagine he looks at these guys and goes, well, listen, nobody gave me a chance until this. I might as well give them chances. I like that perspective from a head coach, because I'm not just a quarterback, at every position.
Yeah, but it just wasn't the enthusiasm and the expression that you would have if you're like, we're getting rid of this guy in a month, where I can do nothing with this guy. That wasn't that, and I think that's what a lot of people are excited about.
Who are the coaches that Todd Monken is bringing over so far to be his new offensive staff with the Browns? Number 1, we've got new offensive coordinator Travis Switzer, who was formerly the run game coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. Our new passing game coordinator is now Danny Breyer. The Ravens offensive assistant worked heavily with the tight ends in Baltimore. The quarterback coach is Mike Bajakian. Worked with Todd Monken on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers staff whenever Jameis Winston was there. Offensive line coach is George Warhop. That's the Ravens offensive line coach brought over from Baltimore. Associate head coach is Daniel Stern, also from the Ravens. Offensive analyst, his role is not yet defined, Ian Colsty, also from the Ravens. And tight end coach Jeff Blasco. He's formerly the assistant offensive line coach and then promoted to run game coordinator / running backs coach for the Dallas Cowboys. And that was notably the season when Rico Dowdle became a thing and had his first 1,000-yard season. Blasco was the assistant offensive line coach with Todd Monken in Cleveland in 2019. So that's the offensive staff so far under Todd Monken. Tons of guys coming over from Baltimore, which is interesting to note that they are following Todd Monken to Cleveland and not John Harbaugh to New York.
This goes back to like my first impressions of Todd Monken. Like, he is a guy who is very confident in himself and his abilities to get the most out of these quarterbacks, like, regardless of their skill set. So I'm sure he thinks, like, whatever is there to mine with Shedeur Sanders and his development, that he's going to get the most out of him. But, like, the interesting flip side of that is, like, to me right now, you look at that quarterback room, and really it's like a 2-man potentially competition between Shedeur and Deshaun Watson. Now, we're going to have to wait and see. We know Todd said he's intrigued by Deshaun, but this idea that, like, you can't coach them up yet because of the CBA. So, like, we still have a long ways to go to answer this question. But the Deshaun Watson of it all remains, I think, really interesting. And I think if you're Todd Monken, you're confident in your abilities. You're like, I got this guy who's a former Pro Bowler who, yes, he's coming off of 2 Achilles surgeries, a pretty major shoulder injury within the last couple of years as well. But you understand why a guy like Todd Monken is going to say he's intrigued just by that skill set, and especially knowing how much he likes mobile quarterbacks. So just to go back to Shedeur, I think I've said this for months now. I don't think Shedeur Sanders got credit throughout the draft process for how mobile he can be. And we saw that when he started games at the end of the season.
Hold up, Browns fans. Todd Monken just made a move that's got everybody talking. And if you're sleeping on what this means for Shedeur Sanders and Cleveland's future, you're about to get left behind. This isn't just another coaching hire. This is a statement. This is a message. And if you read between the lines, you'll see exactly where the Browns are headed in 2026. Let's break it down.
He finna go out there and lay a goose egg. I'm here to tell you, he finna assemble some of the best coaches and give opportunity to people that probably was going to be looked upon somewhere else. Now, it's time and time again, we see coaches like Todd Monken go get their guys that they've been rocking with, man. Trust is going to be a big-time thing for the Cleveland Browns, man. We know that's how Jimmy Haslam get down, and that's how the Browns organization get down. Well, I ain't finna waste no time, man. We got to...
What's good, everybody? The Cleveland Browns are making serious noise right now, and Todd Monken isn't wasting any time building his championship-caliber staff. We're talking about two massive hires that just dropped. Bobby Johnson as assistant offensive line coach and Christian Jones staying on as wide receiver coach. Now, I know what you're thinking. Assistant O-line coach? That's the big news? But trust me, when you understand who Bobby Johnson is and what he brings to the table, you're going to realize this is way bigger than just filling a position. This is about fixing the biggest problem the Browns had last season. This is about protecting Shedeur Sanders. This is about building an identity. So buckle up, because we're diving deep into what these moves really mean. Let's start with Bobby Johnson, because this hire right here is absolutely critical. The Browns are bringing in Bobby Johnson as their assistant offensive line coach, and if you don't know who this man is, let me put you on game real quick. Bobby Johnson is an Akron, Ohio native. He's coming home. But more importantly, this dude has been the offensive line coach for the Washington Commanders for the past 2 seasons. Before that, he coached the O-line for the New York Giants and the Buffalo Bills. This man has been around the league. He knows what it takes to build a dominant offensive line at the highest level. Now here's why this matters so much. The Browns' offensive line last season was absolutely horrible. I'm not exaggerating. They were terrible. Shoddy protection, constant pressure, running lanes that weren't there. It was a disaster, and everybody knows it. You can't build a successful offense when your quarterback is running for his life every single play. You can't develop a young quarterback like Shedeur Sanders when he's getting hit before he even finishes his drop back. Todd Monken saw that problem, and he's addressing it head on. He's not playing around. He's bringing in a guy who's got a proven track record of developing offensive linemen and fixing broken units. Bobby Johnson isn't just some random hire to fill a spot. This is a strategic move. This is Monken saying, we're going to protect our quarterback. We're going to establish the run game. We're going to build this thing the right way. And let me tell you something else. Monken didn't have to wait this long just to lay a goose egg. He took his time. He was patient. He was strategic. And now he's assembling one of the best coaching staffs in the league. That's what elite coaches do. They get their guys. They bring in people they trust. They build a culture from the ground up.
Coach that came in the other day from the Dallas Cowboys. Well, it looked like they might have an offensive coach right now. That it's being reported that the Browns are expected to name Christian Jones as a wide receivers coach. Now, CBS Sports broke this story and stated Jones was the tight end coach under Kevin Stefanski this year and helped Harold Fannin have big rookie seasons, now expected to be retained as the coach of the wide receivers under Todd Monken.
Now let's talk about Christian Jones, because this hire is just as important, even though it's being slept on. The Browns are keeping Christian Jones as their wide receiver coach. And before you roll your eyes and say, he was part of Kevin Stefanski's staff, why are we keeping him? Let me stop you right there. Christian Jones was the tight end coach last season under Stefanski. And you know what he did? He helped develop Jared Wiley. And more importantly, he worked closely with guys like Harold Fannin Jr., who became one of Shedeur Sanders' most reliable targets. Harold Fannin Jr. had a big rookie season. He was consistent, he had hands, he was one of the only wide receivers actually putting the ball in the end zone and making plays when it mattered. That's not by accident. That's coaching. Christian Jones knows how to develop young receivers. He knows how to get the most out of his players. And guess what? He's got a proven track record beyond Cleveland, too. Before the Browns, Jones was an assistant quarterback coach with the New York Giants, and he helped Tommy DeVito become the first Giants rookie quarterback to win 3 straight starts. That's impressive. So when people start talking trash about keeping someone from Stefanski's staff, they're missing the point. Not every coach under Stefanski was bad. Some of them were actually really good at their jobs. Christian Jones is one of them. Todd Monken recognized that. He's smart enough to know that you don't throw away talent just because the previous regime didn't work out. You keep the guys who can actually coach and you build around them. And here's the real key. Shedeur Sanders is going to need weapons. He's going to need guys who can run routes, catch the ball, and make plays. If Christian Jones can continue developing the wide receiver room the way he developed Harold Fannin Jr., the Browns are going to have one of the most dangerous passing attacks in the league. All right, now let's get to the heart of the matter. What does all of this mean for Shedeur Sanders? Here's the deal. Todd Monken is building an offense around protecting the quarterback and giving him weapons. That's the blueprint. That's the message. The Bobby Johnson hire tells you that they're serious about fixing the offensive line. They're not going to throw Shedeur to the wolves and hope he survives. They're going to give him time in the pocket. They're going to establish the run game. They're going to make defenses respect every aspect of the offense. The Christian Jones retention tells you that they're committed to developing the wide receiver room. They want playmakers. They want guys who can get open, catch the ball, and make big plays downfield. Shedeur Sanders is going to have the tools he needs to succeed. But here's what a lot of people aren't talking about: identity. Todd Monken is building an offensive identity for this team. Under Kevin Stefanski, the Browns never really had a clear offensive identity. They tried to be a run-first team, but they couldn't run the ball consistently. They tried to have balance, but the offensive line couldn't protect the quarterback. It was a mess. Monken is changing that. He's putting together a well-oiled machine. He's assembling coaches who know what they're doing. He's creating a system where Shedeur Sanders can thrive. And that's what great head coaches do. They don't just throw talent on the field and hope it works. They build a system. They create an identity. They develop players within that system.
Have that same mentality and approach that Jim did with certain guys and hold guys accountable, but do it in a respectful way where they still respect you and there's that kind of mutual understanding. It's the style of it that's going to be missing. So when people ask the question, like, well, you say the defense is going to take a step back, how could it take a step back? I think that's the part that could be missing that allows it to maybe not be quite as good. I'm not saying they're going to tank. I'm not saying they're going to be.
I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds you of the offensive line when Bill Callahan was no longer here.
Now, Monken has already said that Shedeur's starting role is still to be determined, and that's the right approach. You don't just hand the job to a rookie and tell him, "Good luck, kid." You make him compete. You make him earn it. You make him prove that he's ready. And Shedeur Sanders gets that. He's said all the right things. He's mature. He understands that he has to prove himself every single day. Let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture. The Cleveland Browns are building something special. They've got a young quarterback in Shedeur Sanders who has all the potential in the world. They've got one of the best defenses in the league, led by Miles Garrett in the reigning Defensive Player of the Year. They've got an offensive-minded head coach in Todd Monken who knows how to score points and develop quarterbacks. But here's the thing. None of that matters if you don't have the right coaches in place. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't have coaches who can develop that talent, you're going to fail. That's just the reality of the NFL. Todd Monken understands that. That's why he's taking his time. That's why he's being strategic with these hires. He's not just filling positions. He's building a culture. He's assembling a staff that's going to maximize the potential of every single player on this roster. And the defensive coordinator situation? That's still up in the air. Jim Schwartz is gone. He bounced. He said peace out and hit the road. Now the Browns have to figure out who's going to lead that elite defense. Some people are saying they should promote from within. Maybe the linebacker coach, the DB coach, the safety coach. But personally, I think they need to go out and get a former head coach. They need someone who's defensive-minded at an elite level. This defense is too talented to mess around with. So what does all of this mean for the Browns' 2026 plan? Simple. They're building a championship contender. Year one under Todd Monken is going to be about developing the quarterbacks and establishing the offensive identity. It's going to be about getting the right pieces in place and making sure the system is running smoothly. There's going to be growing pains, there's going to be mistakes, but that's okay. That's part of the process. Year 2, that's when expectations rise. That's when the Browns need to show real progress. That's when Shedeur Sanders needs to prove he's the guy. That's when the offensive line needs to be solid. That's when the wide receivers need to make plays. That's when everything comes together. And these hires, Bobby Johnson, Christian Jones, and whoever they bring in at defensive coordinator, are laying the foundation for that success. Monken isn't just thinking about 2025, he's thinking about 2026 and beyond. He's building something sustainable. He's building something that can compete for championships year after year. Look, at the end of the day, the Cleveland Browns are making all the right moves. Todd Monken is assembling an elite coaching staff. He's addressing the biggest weaknesses from last season. He's building an offensive identity. He's setting Shedeur Sanders up for success. This isn't just about winning games in 2025. This is about building a dynasty. This is about creating a culture of excellence. This is about showing the rest of the league that the Cleveland Browns are back and they're not going anywhere. So to all the doubters, to all the haters, to everyone who thinks the Browns are going to mess this up, just watch. Todd Monken knows what he's doing. These hires prove it. And when Shedeur Sanders is lighting up defenses in 2026 behind a dominant offensive line with weapons all over the field, don't say nobody warned you. The Browns are coming, and they're coming strong. Believe that. Subscribe and hit the notification bell for more Browns breaking news and NFL updates.